Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome. What are you watching? You're watching this kick-assery thing. Who's this guy right here? I am Dale Maxwell, and what are we doing? Kick-assery is this amazing opportunity for me to have conversations. One, the most amazing, Melody Cower. Melody has been a huge influence in my life, and she has influenced a ton of young 4-Hers leaders. She's still doing her thing. So, Melody, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm
You
good.
are good, good, good,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
tell us, okay, who are you? What do you do? Give us a quick elevator pitch. Who are you?
Elevator pitch. Okay. I'm a school teacher. I'm a 4-H leader. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. Yeah, I'm going all the time, doing things involved in 4-H, involved in the school. Just, yeah, don't let dirt grow under my feet or grass or anything else.
Awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. Do me a quick favor. Shift to your left just a little bit. There we go. For some reason
That's
you were
okay.
sliding out. We want to look at people want to see you more than they want to see me. So, all right.
Yeah,
So
right.
when okay, so when did you start in the Lemhi County the Builders Club? Because that's when we met. Was
Um,
when you came over with
right.
your oldest.
Right. And I had done 4-H growing up, and so when my kids got old enough, I had them starting in 4-H. But then when they got old enough to be Builders Club, then we transitioned to Builders Club with the older ones at that point in time. So that's been a ton of years ago,
Yeah.
because the oldest one is now has kids in 4-H too. So yeah, we're all still young. We're all still young.
I'm going with there. I'll be there right there with you. We are all still young, absolutely. So I have to tell you, Melody, I what I don't even know where to start because I have so many insanely awesome memories of all the projects that we did, all the trips we went on, all the shenanigans we did. I was reminiscing with a lot of people, Nancy Chaffin. I had her on here already, and we were talking about the scone booth at the demolition derby and everything that we've done. And I just want to say thank you so very much for dedicating so much of your time and effort and taking us all under your wing and putting up with us for so many years. I really appreciate that. And I've learned so much from you over the years. Thank you. And just so everyone knows, there is a bit of a internet lag time between us. So every once in a while, if you see a blank face, it's we're waiting for everything to catch up.
Yep.
Are you back with us?
Exactly. That's not normal. I don't usually have a blank look on my face most of the time.
Unless, well, no, it's not a blank look at 6:30 in the morning in the cafeteria at team conference when I start singing my most favoriteest song. It's usually not a blank look.
Right.
It's usually a pissed off look.
And you'll notice that's why we didn't do this in the morning, because I didn't want you to start singing that horrendous song. It's evening. It's nighttime. We're just growing out.
You know what's so funny is I actually in Maryland I taught a little class at a youth camp, and they were all middle schoolers. They weren't high schoolers, and it was so funny. I got there. It wasn't super early, maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. They were just finishing up with breakfast, and they were going to their first assembly, and everyone was just like, oh, just strolling in, and all the counselors were just like, rah rah ree. And I looked at the camp counselor. I was like, can I do something, please, please, please? Can I do one thing? And he looks at me. He's like, what is it? I said, I just want to sing one song, just one song. That's all I want to do. And so he's like, okay, sure. So I'm in the back of the room. The kids kind of saw that I was there. And so the camp counselor is like, everybody, Mr. Dale over here wants to do something. And I jump up and I shocked the crap out of those kids. They were like, who the hell is this dude? And why is he
Yeah.
yelling at us?
And singing that song.
Exactly. Exactly. So for everyone, just so you know, it's the Alive, Awake, Alert, Enthusiastic song. And it's funny, Melody. I didn't sing the whole song, but for years at networking meetings, that was kind of how I introduced myself. Is at like business networking meetings. They're like, okay, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And I'm like, hi, I'm Dale Maxwell. Are you guys Live, Awake, Alert, Enthusiastic today? And everyone's like, oh, stop, stop.
Yeah, not everyone can be alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic in the morning. It just isn't possible.
See, I don't agree with that. I think everybody can be there.
Well, maybe at night when dinner's done and everybody else has gone to bed and we're just getting rolling. Then I'm alive, awake, enthusiastic.
Which is funny because because I loved, you and a handful of other adults when we were doing those camps. I could always count on you guys after hours to be available. There's so many other adults that as soon as 8 o'clock rolled around, 9 o'clock, they're done. They're gone. You didn't see them again. They were gone. And that's when usually the shenanigans happen when you get a bunch of teenage kids together, right? And
exactly.
I love that I could always count on you guys to say, okay, I know Melody's awake. I know Karen's still awake. I know that, oh my gosh. Robin's still awake. I know that group is still awake. We're good. Go talk to them.
Well, I be able to, because you're out of those classrooms, you're out of that formal setting, the kids could really enjoy and hang loose and have some fun together. And you were away from that real structured unit, where you could really get to know the kids and really have some fun with them.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
What was so nice about it.
Absolutely. And the thing that I loved, that I walked through you guys' dorm floor and your door was always open and you always had 3 or 4 girls from your floor or the floor above you or the floor below you were always hanging, in your room, and it was great. Absolutely.
It was never anything serious. It was always just something fun. Just, just enjoying life, realizing that, there's nothing that's, earth-shattering that's going to be resolved in one setting. It was just kind of a fun time to just get to know each other, tell stories, the kids to realize that, life, you can't take it too serious. You have to really enjoy life and just really get out there and do something fun.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So let me ask you this. You went on a lot of statewide trips. You've been on a lot of national trips as well. Right. What was your favorite? What was your favorite trip?
It'd be hard to say. I probably going to Atlanta. Probably I've done a lot of school ones too, where I went with my kids to different school ones. But going to Atlanta was just cool to see the whole different culture away from what we see in Idaho and little small town Leadore. You be out there and see how the other half lives. To realize that there's so much more out there than our little towns and little communities. Just to get out there and experience that piece of the world.
Oh, so explain part of that to people that don't understand how remote and small Leadore is.
Okay, so Leadore is, our school is a K-12 school. It is the smallest K-12 public school in Idaho.
So what does that mean? Okay, give us perspective on the smallest. What is that? How many students do you have?
Smallest. We're up this year. We're booming in Leadore. There are 15 students in my classroom, 5th and 6th graders. And there are 15 1st and 2nd graders in one room, and there are 17 3rd and 4th graders in one room, and I think there's 26 7 through 12.
So you guys are like 50 kids total.
I think we're sitting at about 89 kids.
Oh, okay.
K-12.
Okay, so your entire school is 80, 90 kids.
Right.
Where is the next closest town to you? How far away?
I did. I'm losing your question. What did you ask
Uh,
again?
how far away is the closest town?
Oh, okay, Fallstone. Well, Salmon is 35 miles from my house, but it's 50 miles from the school. But about probably a better perspective is we have to drive 120 miles to find a Walmart.
Yes. There you go. See, it's so fascinating to me to explain to people out here in the Midwest and out east how sparse and how far apart everything is out there. You know, to try to explain to people, Salmon, the next closest town of any size to Salmon is 57 miles away, and that's Chalice, and it's smaller than Salmon, and to explain to people even how much smaller Ledor is incredible. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing that is awesome that 4-H and you as adults and chaperones and leaders gave us as kids is opportunities to get out and experience the world beyond the sagebrush and antelope.
Yeah, elk in my backyard. That's it. Getting to be able to do some of these things for 4-H is really getting a chance to get the kids out and experience things, to realize that you didn't have to stay home. You didn't have to be satisfied with what was out your back door. To really explore life and explore the world.
Absolutely. Well, the first time I had ever been on an airplane is when we went to Washington, D.C. my 8th grade year for Citizenship Washington Focus. That's the first time I'd ever been on a trip without my parents. First time I'd ever been east of Wyoming. It was the first time I'd ever been in a big city, but it was also the first time I had ever seen homelessness, true like beggars on the street. It was the first time I had ever tasted chlorinated water. I mean, just the experiences are yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. We just have so many kids that, like I said, Salmon's an hour away, and that's as far as they've gone, or they maybe have gone to Mud Lake. This is their world, just little tiny, and they're great kids, and it's not just anything bad about their families or anything, but there just is no reason to go beyond there. You just go out, and we're a ranching community, and either owned a ranch or worked on a ranch, and that was your whole world. You went to town to get groceries and came back home and back to work.
Yep.
That was it. There's so many that didn't even go to college. They just stayed at home and worked.
Right. And it's like I said before, though, it's so interesting for me to try to explain to folks out here how that works. People out here get pissed if they have to drive more than 45 minutes to go do anything or go anywhere. And and when I try to explain to people, I was like, our closest away football game was a 2-hour bus ride. That was our closest.
Right.
And that's like an hour further than most places around here go, period. They don't travel further than that. And trying to explain to people that, we get home from a football game off the bus. We get off the bus at 1-2 o'clock in the morning. I still have a half an hour, 45-minute drive to get home.
Right. Get some sleep and get up in the morning to get chores done so you can get back to school by 8 o'clock.
Exactly. And it's a different world. It's such a different world. And I miss it, and I don't miss it all in the same breath.
Yeah. Well, it's a different world, and it's a different lifestyle. Our kids just live a different lifestyle. It's hard to explain to kids how the rest of the world lives, because the things that you see in the news and the things that you hear on TV is so far removed from our world that the kids just kind of look at it and think, wow, that's weird. They don't understand that. They don't understand why those things happen, because that's nothing that ever would have remotely even come into their thought process.
Well, like Michelle comment, she said, I had no idea Idaho was so remote. Michelle, to give you kind of an idea, the largest wilderness area in the lower 48 is the Frank Church Wilderness of No Return. And it's literally the size, just that alone is the size of Delaware, just the wilderness itself. And you can't drive through it. There's
Right.
no roads through it. The only way you can get through it is,
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I says, remember the bus trips we would take, we would leave Salmon and we'd have to go clear up into Montana and around just to get to northern Idaho. You can't get to northern Idaho. It was a 10-hour drive.
Yep. Yeah, there's no
On a
way to
bus.
go through that area unless you're riding a horse, you're in an airplane, or you're on a float boat going down the Salmon River. That's the only way to get through it, period.
So we had many adventures on those buses.
Oh man. I can't believe old Bob Laux. I can't believe he didn't just pull over and kick us out at least a dozen times driving that bus. And did you ever have, I think you usually drove the chase car with most of our luggage, but did you ever have the privilege of riding the short bus when we had to take the little bus?
I missed your question. It sounded like a video game ping-ponging around there. Sometimes it's coming and going.
Did you ever get the privilege of riding the short bus to TC?
We took the short bus to 4-H camp a couple years.
Okay. That sucked. It was horrible.
And it might have, and then I think we kind of gave it up for the most part because we had to get the bigger bus because we had too many kids that we had to get on the bus. But we did take the short one a couple times up over the mountain there to the 4-H camp.
Right. Yeah, it was horrible. You couldn't stand up in it. It was the seats were short, and so 10 hours in that bus was it was horrible, absolutely horrible. But we had such great memories of just, even when shit was horrible, it was still good memories.
We had those years before they changed 4-H teen conference around where we would leave at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night to go home and drive all night with kids that had been up all week.
Yeah. And now there is one trip I do want to ask you about. Do you remember the Albuquerque trip for Western Regional Leaders Forum?
Yep.
And we almost lost one of our kids because he fell in love and he was going to stay there and live happily ever after. And didn't want to come home. We basically picked him up over our shoulder and packed him onto the plane. Pretty much. That was too funny. But out of all of that, though, Melody, is as a leader, you were 4-H as a delegate and youth, and you raised an amazing family of 4-H kids who are now, full circle. They're now giving back to the program and have been for forever. But as a leader, as an adult, as a chaperone, what have you learned as an adult?
If I learned as an adult,
because we think about this, let me put it in perspective. Because we talk about youth leadership and goal setting, and we teach these youth all these things. But I know myself, I've learned a great deal as a leader. And I don't think we think about that, or we don't talk about that.
No, I think, more than anything that it's amazing how anything is possible. And, with the kids, we think that we have to guide them through everything. We have to set out, line it all out for them and stuff. And that if you just kind of say, what do you want to do? Or how do you want to do it? And just let them go. Just let them have that chance to experiment. They'll come up with a great program or a great story to tell or a great class or, whatever it may be. If you just kind of give them the reins and let them go, I think sometimes too many of us try to, contain it, and try to be in control and try to make sure that things are okay. And sometimes you just let them go and just let them do it. Amazing things happen, but sometimes it's really scary and really hard to just kind of step to the side and say, okay, go for it. I think, well, nothing worse than we'll work out. I'm sure it will. We'll make the best of it. And it always does. It always does. It always did anyway.
Yeah. And that who was I talking to just the other day that's been one of my hardest lessons to learn as a leader is letting them fall on their face, letting them fail, and not trying to fix everything before it happens. Because we've been there, we've done that, you know. And that's probably been one of the hardest things for me is just letting them fail, letting them learn those lessons, and then be there to pick up the pieces and roll on. But that's one thing that you and Nancy were so amazing at, letting us fail and figure it out. And I truly appreciate that.
And it isn't always a fail as much as it is just kind of figuring out how to make it work. It maybe isn't a fail like you would think about, totally unusable anymore, broken. But sometimes the fail just means, okay, well, that didn't work. Well, now should we try? Well, okay, well, that isn't going to work. So what else should we try? Those are the kinds of things that I love letting kids see that, there might be more than one way to do it. And we all come up with different ways to do it. And if that doesn't work, well, let's try something different. We're not going to give up. We're not going to quit. Just keep going until you find something that will work.
And I think that right there has been a blessing and a curse for me. that lesson right there that I've learned. And as an adult and as an entrepreneur, as a business person, I have definitely taken that with me into adulthood. And, if it doesn't work, I'll figure something else out. If that failed, then I'll try something new. And that's one of the things I absolutely cherish about what all of you just instilled in us and helped us do. And then even having the opportunity to work with you as an adult, I don't think I'll ever be an adult, but being an adult on that side it's okay. That hurt, that sucked. Let's move on and let's do it again. Let's do it in a different way. And that right there has been a huge blessing, huge. So, and you as a teacher, that just probably comes naturally, doesn't it? Because you've been doing, how long have you been teaching? Oh, I think we're having are we having a tech glitch?
I think you're asking me questions, but I had that whole video game effect thing again. And I got bits and pieces about working with me as an adult, but beyond that, it was gone.
How long have you been teaching? How long have you been teaching? Gotta love technology. Gotta love it. Are you there?
I'm there.
Okay.
But like I said, once in a while I get something, then I don't get something. I'm like, frustrated.
How long have you been teaching?
So ask me again.
How long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching for probably 25, 6, 7 years-ish. I don't know. I forget to keep track. I don't know. A lot. It's been a lot. I've taught most of my kids' lives. It's been about 25 years, I think.
Okay. All right. What I was saying is that your ability to let kids learn and whatnot probably comes pretty naturally to you because of your teaching background. You've been doing this forever.
Yeah, probably. Although I still, I don't know about that, because sometimes teaching is a real canned thing. You get a book and you teach, and then you turn the page and you teach some more. And sometimes you turn them loose to do stuff, but still as a teacher, you're kind of there to make sure that everything goes okay and they all go home at 4 o'clock. But I think the difference being that in 4-H, there isn't as much of a canned program that you're using. There isn't really sometimes a book to follow. You just are kind of winging it. And the schools now are going towards letting kids decide what they want to learn. Well, 4-H has been doing that forever. Nancy and I would say to you guys, well, what do you want to do this time? Or what do we want to learn? Or how do you want to do it? And then we would figure out how to make it work. And I think that's becomes the difference, is that I think it takes that willingness to let go. And I don't know. I think being a teacher helped with enough of the classes to understand the ages and stages of kids as they're growing up. But at the same time, I think outside of being a school teacher was that willingness to just let go and say, okay, let's see where it takes us.
Right, right. And that's huge. That's absolutely huge. And I do remember a lot of times that, you guys would say, okay, what's the plan? We're like, hell, if we know,
Well,
we don't know what we're doing. You're like, okay, well, figure it out. And
let's keep going and we'll see what we come up with. Yeah,
exactly,
that's right.
exactly. Hey, let's go to Washington, D.C. Hey, let's go to Albuquerque, and I want to touch on that Albuquerque trip just for a little bit, and then we got to wrap this up. But one of the things that was so incredible about that trip is that up until that year, the Regional Leaders Forum was all adults. And somebody had the bright idea to start letting youth come in. They're like, let's have some youth come in. Holy smokes. They didn't want us to.
Wasn't well received. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. I do, and I think I don't know, maybe I'm stepping out of line, but I think Idaho was a big part of us saying, hey, we want the teens to come. They're a part of it, and they're the next ones that are going to lead, and there are our leaders coming up, and we need to do that. And there were so many adults that were like, what are they doing here? And this is just for us, and we don't need them. And yeah, you guys were shut down a lot. It was darn tough.
And the thing that there's a few things that is cemented in my mind from that trip is that right there, as soon as we walked in the room, there was adults that were just like, not just no, but hell no. We do not.
Yeah.
And adults would literally say that to our face. We don't want you there. We don't want you here. You're not welcome here. This is not your conference. This is ours. The other thing that just cemented in my mind was because of that, I have never experienced a group. I think there was only like 15, 16 of us. There wasn't a lot of us. And half of those were from Idaho. Half of us was from Idaho.
They were, yeah.
I have never experienced a group of kids becoming one as quickly as we did. And it was almost like survival to a point.
Yeah. Band together.
Yeah, exactly. Because there wasn't really a lot of programming for us. There wasn't, we were given some advisory, we were given the opportunity to speak our mind and give a little bit of input from our perspective, but that wasn't even, accepted. The other things
there wasn't even a lot of,
yeah. But you and a handful of other states were there to back us up. And I remember you guys all being very vocal when someone was openly bashing us or whatever else. And you guys would step up and just say, basically, you're just saying, shut it.
Yeah. They're here. Let's make the best of it. And let's use them and let's see where we need to go with them. And I remember there wasn't very many classes for you guys. And but in the evenings, they're kind of like begrudgingly said, well, I guess they can go do this, or maybe they can entertain themselves with that. They just made it hard. It was really an odd thing to be there and see 4-H leaders that were kind of not welcoming the 4-Hers. It was, it was kind of like their own thing. And, it was a big secret or something. It was an odd week. It was a really odd week.
It was. And do you remember the banquet, the keynote speaker at that banquet?
I do.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
So I don't remember his name. So there was a kid from New Mexico that we got really tight. And I remember the banquet was the last night, and I just sat at our table and I was just bawling. You know me. I'm a stalwart.
You always are.
Oh my Lord. I was bawling like a baby as usual. And I was sitting there and I had my hat down and I didn't want to look at anybody. I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't eating my dinner. And I just remember looking down at my feet and this buddy, and it bothers me that I don't remember his name, but he leaves, and he comes back. Well, the gal, the Blue Ribbon Campaign is what I remember. I don't remember her name, but she had established the Blue Ribbon Campaign, and she's like, well, she was doing her spiel, and then I remember there was a pause, and then she's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to start walking out through the audience. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But I'm sitting there crying, so I'm not really paying attention to much anything. And out of the corner of my eye, I see her walking through the audience. I'm like, what the hell? What's she doing? And I'm sitting there like this, and my hat's down, and I see her feet come next to our table. And I'm like, what, huh?
Oh, crap.
And she stops right next to me. She stops right next to me, and she puts her hand on my shoulder, and she said, do you have anything you would like to say? I look up, I'm like, you talking to me? As, you know, I'm like, you know.
You never said 2 words outside of our meetings.
So,
At that time.
Right.
Yeah.
So she grabs my hand, she leads me up to the stage, she goes up on stage, and she hands me the freaking microphone. To this day, I remember 2 faces. Other than all the other teams were like at the stage by this time. They're like, ah! Right?
Yeah.
But I remember 2 faces in the crowd. And they were the 2 faces that were the most loud, the most negative towards us. And from the first moment we met them, they were against us being there. And I don't remember what I said. I have no idea. I poured out. I spoke from my heart. And I was blah, 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 the whole time.
Yeah.
But the gist of what I was saying was that I was just like, listen, we are here. We are important, you know, and I can't remember what it, you know, but I remember looking at those 2 and I just saw their faces change.
Yeah.
I saw the change at that moment, and I finished bawling, and, you know, everybody high-fiving, and all the kids are going ballistic, and, you know, she's like, okay, you're done. Give me the microphone back. I need to finish my thing.
Yeah.
You know, I remember.
Why did I give it to him?
Yeah, exactly. Hi, I'm Dale, and I'm a microphone hog. So I remember after that, those 2 people, I don't even remember what state they were. I think they were from Hawaii, but I couldn't be for sure.
I don't remember. I remember the 2 people that were very vocal, but I don't know where they're from.
Yeah. And I remember they came up after the banquet and they apologized.
Oh.
You know, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, I remember that. I remember that because you were floored that they had apologized.
Yeah.
It floored you that they were willing to come up and, you know, acknowledge that.
Because they were being mean. I mean, they weren't being. No, it was mean. That's all there was to it.
They weren't subtle about it. It was outright. Yeah.
And so it's such a game changer, and you guys were so supportive of everything we did. Yeah.
It was just like, you know, this program is for the kids. This program is for you guys, and we're there just along for the ride and to enjoy it, and, you know, but 4-H in and of itself is for the kids. That's who it's for. And whether it's convenient or easy or, you know, fits into our schedule, we'd make it work. You have to make it work because that's what it's about. It's about the kids and about making it their life and making it what they can learn and what they can get out of it.
Well, and to compound that, I mean, for us to go anywhere to do anything, even inside the county, it was still a half an hour to an hour drive to go do anything.
Yep.
You know, so you want to talk about convenience, not so much. But that's the lifestyle. You already said it, is that's just the lifestyle. Is if you want it.
We know that.
You know, I wasn't allowed or even had the opportunity to do any sports or anything major until I got my driver's license and had my truck.
To get yourself there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that Mom wasn't willing; it was just we couldn't afford it.
Well, and you know, you'd carpool. You know, everything we did, we carpool. You know, how many kids can we cram into a car? You know, we probably should say we didn't worry as much about seatbelts as we used to, as they want us to do now. But you know, we had to get everybody there, and make the best of it. And we had to make sure that we had to wait till ball practice was done, and we had to make sure we got done early so that kids could get home in a relatively better time, or not quite as late as we'd like to be there. That's just the reality of how we did things. It was just
yeah. I mean, for you ranch kids, by the time I got into teen clubs, we had already sold the ranch, so I wasn't any longer a ranch kid. But for you ranch kids, you guys had a lot of chores left to do every night and every morning, and thank goodness for Nancy's Suburban so many times.
Exactly.
Holy
cram them in and off we go.
Yeah. I remember. Oh, I don't remember what trip it was. We went all the way to Salt Lake City because that was the cheapest airfare for us. So we would drive all the way to Salt Lake City, which was what?
Yep.
8
It's
8 hours.
7 hours. 7-8 hours. Yeah.
So we'd cram in all of our luggage. Yeah, we crammed all of our luggage and 8 or 10 kids in the Suburban, and we drove. And
off you went.
That's just the way
and
it was.
Hope that whatever luggage, if you had to sit on your luggage, or you put it on your lap, or
I remember that trip. Sadie Babbitts had her hat box. Oh my gosh, she brought which trip? I can't even remember which trip that was. Oh, it was Western Regional Congress. It was Western Regional Congress, and so she took all of her stinking rodeo queen stuff. So all of her garment bag and her boot box and her hat box, and it took up so much room.
No, it didn't take near as much room as all of your audio equipment when you had to bring all those big, huge speakers. You remember back in the day when speakers weren't small, they were the size of a small car in the back of that bus. We had to cram everything, and the girls would bring everything but the kitchen sink, and that bus was full to the max. That was the day before we had it.
So give everybody a quick background on that, and then Melody, I'll let you go. But so the last couple years of this conference that we'd go to, that we were on the bus for like 10 hours to get to, the last 4 or 5 seats in the bus was just for me because I DJ'd all the dances. So I had all of my lighting, all of my trussing, all of my speakers, everything back there. And then we'd have all of our luggage. And then, the girls would have 15 freaking bags. And it was so much fun.
And then 24 or 25 kids. I mean, we were 3 to a seat just trying to cram everybody in there.
Oh, it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable.
We'd do it again in a minute if we had to. We'd do it in a minute.
Done and done. And then you would usually be in your yellow truck, your yellow pickup truck, following us, because your truck would be just overloaded with
crammed luggage.
You know, and but
it was a sad day when that went, because that was our luggage hauler. That was it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I don't remember the short buses, because I had the truck with all the luggage so that you guys were all in the short bus.
Yep. You were sitting back there in your air conditioned and, padded seat that you could recline, and we're sitting there like
cram sardines.
Kill my larynx. But for what it's worth, Melody, thank you. Thank you so much for dedicating so much of your life to us, to your kids, to all of us, foster kids that you took under. Thank you so much for sacrificing so much for us in the community. You have made a significant impact on an entire generation, and now that legacy is now going to the next generation. So thank you.
And it is, and I think the hard part is that you're very welcome. But so many of the leaders now, one of the things we were just talking about at one of our other meetings was that some of the leaders now are trying to ask, they want to know if they're making a difference. They really need to know, am I making a difference? And unfortunately, it's not an immediate that you can see. Sometimes I'm seeing the feedback now. once the generations get older. And I think that's the hardest part, is that we don't see that immediate feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad that we have maybe ones that are giving up because they're not seeing that immediate feedback. But, it's not something you see right away. It's blind faith and knowledge that it's a good thing, and that in time, in time, you'll reap those rewards. Absolutely. And
well,
so
and when you
worth
have
it,
to deal
so.
with boneheads like me, it does take time.
My favorite was when we went to Atlanta, they weren't sure they wanted to send you as a chaperone, and they kind of sent me to chaperone you, not the kids, but they sent me to chaperone you. They weren't worried about the kids. They were worried about you.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? Mary Jean actually talked to me about that. We had that conversation. And,
Yeah.
she's like, I don't know, because when I was a kid, her and I did not get along. Mary Jean and I did not get along when I was a delegate, when I was a kid. Wonder why.
Yeah.
So, but that was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was such a great crew. It was such a great bunch of kids. We never had any issues. We never had any problems.
No.
The only problem I remember us having it all on that trip was other adults.
Yeah.
Other states' adults
I think
were having issues with how we were taking care of our kids.
How we'll have things. Right. I think that's true. If you think of all the different trips that we've taken, with all the different variety of kids, as some came and some went, it was never kids we had troubles with. It was other adults that we didn't fit in their box.
Yeah.
We may be thinking outside the box, but we didn't fit into their boxes. We were outside of our own box, and that's always been probably the problem.
Well, I mean, when we're in the lobby of whatever banquet hall and we're playing kissing rugby in the middle of the lobby floor, and all of the other adults are freaking out because all they're seeing,
the teens are like lined up trying to get into this game.
Yeah, because they've never seen anything like that. And adults all they see is kids tackling at kids and kissing kids, and then when Andy and I got in there and started playing, then people's heads exploded, and it was, but it's incredible to me though, is how many of the other states' kids would then come to us with issues or problems or just camaraderie, or not just our kids but us as adults. They would go to you, they'd come to adults.
They just wanted that knowledge that somebody else approved. Just that approval.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And the thing the legacy that Andy, Nancy, you, old Wayne Sharp, the legacy that you guys taught me now as an adult leader is that if we, and I've used this so many times I can't even count, Melody, is that if we tell the kids, well, here's what we expect of you, and here's the positive and negative consequences to your choices. Mm-hmm. It's your choice. We're not going to tell you no. Right. We're going to let it, that's your choice. And, the thing that I respected as a youth was that if I got in trouble, it was on me.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, I've used this, I don't know how many times, I'm saying, okay, here's your choices. But if you make the wrong choice, I have every right and responsibility to come down on you like Thor's hammer. And you are not allowed to be upset at me about this because that's your choice.
Here's the consequences, but
done and done. Go ahead. But there's so many other chaperones and leaders that would just say no. Well, why can't we? Doesn't matter. I'm telling you no. Okay, let's think about how teenagers think for a moment. A teenager's going to go do what they're not supposed to do because they're told they're not supposed to do it.
Do it. Right.
It's not rocket science.
They want to fight that no. Yeah.
Every time.
Human nature. Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
So how am I going to expect any other kid to do anything different than what I did already?
Differently. Yeah. Give them choices within a parameter that's okay.
Yes.
It's always about choices, and as long as you make those choices so that they're still safe choices. There was never any choices that you guys had to make that was unsafe or anything like that. But to know that they had choices always softened the blow much easier, you know, and they've made good choices.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't give them choices like, okay, well, you can either go pick up a hooker on the corner or, you know, do a line of Coke in the bathroom. There's your choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
We could go on for an hour. I could brag on
I know,
you
we could
and
forever.
thank you for forever and ever and ever. And Melody, thank you. I really appreciate you and your entire family and everything that you've done for all of us. And I'm super stoked that the next generation of Cowers is doing their thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They are.
Just absolutely awesome. So, any last piece of advice, any last parting words you want to give everyone?
You know, I think if anything, find a way to connect with this next generation, whether it be 4-H or FFA or Girls Club or Boys Club or Scouts or, you know, whatever. I just really wish that more adults could connect in some way and be a part of this next generation. I think this next generation really, really needs us. They just really need adults who are willing to be a part of their lives.
I'm with you on that one.
Positive part of their lives.
I'm totally with you on that one. And in my small amount of experience with my kids now, we're 6 and 3. You know, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that, and you know, especially men. You know, it seems like there's a lacking of. I don't even know how to say it without sounding weird, but it seems like there's a lack of men who are willing to jump in and be a voice of discipline or support and I'm not saying guys are being slack or lackadaisical. It's just
no.
You know,
I think with the family structures as we see them so much today, that there just isn't that role model or that influence or that voice of reason or that listening ear. There just isn't.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. So, all right. Well, thank you. Don't go anywhere. Hang out with me for just a second. Everyone, Melody. Love this woman. I owe her so very much. Thanks for being with me, Melody. Hang out for just a minute. Everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us. This is Kickassery. This is my opportunity to do what you just saw. Me talk to people who mean the world to me, swapping stories, and hopefully somewhere in between you guys get a nugget or two of awesomeness. I always get those nuggets, even though I've known a lot of these people for a lot of years, more years than they probably are willing to admit. But with that, I truly appreciate it, guys. Hang out with me another day. Next week, we've got a great lineup. I actually get to be on someone else's show. I'll announce that probably tomorrow. This is just growing, and it's continuing to grow. And I've got some really cool plans with everything coming up in the next few months. So, guys, thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day. Keep smiling, because guess what? You may need it, or someone else may need it too. I'll talk to you guys soon.